How free shipping saved me. I am desperate for some others' opinions, advice, experience on my situation. Thank you to anyone who takes the time to read my whole dilemma. I greatly appreciate any advice you can give. My story goes like this. I married my high school sweetheart 4 years ago. We were not always together but seemed to always have wanted to be. I left our hometown after college to explore the world. We did not keep in touch. Ran back into her at a wedding 10 years later and everything seemed to fall in place. My job was flexible so I could relocate back home. She was finishing her master's with a good job lined up. We were both in our late 20s and seemed ready for the next step in life, so we got married. May have been the happiest day of my life so far. We got a house and we're starting to think about starting a family. We have some student loan debt, so we decided to hold off a little while on the family to be more stable financially. My wife had never given me any reasons to question any of her actions until about 4 months after our marriage. She started getting random texts late at night from her ex, the last guy she dated before we got married. Side note, I found out their ending was not the best scenario as she pretty much left him for me. I was told they were broken up when we met at the wedding and she did not see their relationship continuing in any way. So, I was okay asking her out that first time. I am very respectful of someone's relationship and would not want to be the reason for a breakup. Back to the texts. I don't want everyone to think that I was being nosy at this point in our relationship. Yet, she had the type of phone that flashes when a new text is there, and the text shows up on the phone screen until you open it. So, I see the name of her ex and the first few lines of the text and decide to open it. It was some lyrics from a country love song. So, I asked her about it and she tells me not to worry. He is just heartbroken because we got married. I told her that I thought it was inappropriate for an ex to contact her and asked her to nicely ask him to stop. She said she did. Fast forward to the 7th month of our marriage. I had been cheated on before, so I made a note of that ex's phone. My wife started acting a little distant and strange, so I got this painful feeling in my stomach. I had also just been out of town on business for a week, during which she did not answer or return some of my calls. So, I decided to cross-reference the ex's phone, on the last month's phone bill. To my crushing surprise, I found out my worst fear. There were hours and hours of conversation, and over 10 hours just in the week I was out of town. I was devastated. I checked back 3 months and saw that activity of long phone conversations started only 3 months after our marriage, around the same time as those supposedly harmless texts from her ex started and she supposedly handled. So now my dilemma began. What do I do? How do I confront her? I decided to just ask her, but ask in a way that she had to admit to the guilt. So, I simply ask, do you ever talk to your ex? She looked me straight in the eye and says no. I am even more devastated. So now she has lied and maybe cheated. We go to talk it out. I am ready to leave her. I really try to be a good husband. I can be a little nagging because of my OCD. Like things neat and clean, but I always put her first. So, to be lied and cheated on when I carefully waited for the right girl and did not get married until I was absolutely ready and had no desire to be with any other women, will not be tolerated. She bawls her eyes out and tells me how she is just talking to him. Never had they had any physical contact during those months of excessive talking. She explains how he is sad and she just feels bad because of the way she ended it with him. I forgive her and believe her. I love her so much. I was just not ready to give up on what I think could be a great partnership. Our physical relationship had been falling off and from this point was back to where it was early in our relationship. So, I began to gain trust in her again. Fast forward 14 months. My wife began to have that same distant behavior as before. We only had sex 1 or twice a month. My wishes in the marriage were not really being met. I was under the impression that a couple was supposed to work at the marriage to make the other spouse happy. I do what I think are the things a good husband would do. I cook, I do dishes, laundry, clean, etc. I search message boards on how to make a marriage work to make sure I am doing the right things and not making my wife not want to be with me physically. This had gone on for a few months, so I started to get that same pain in my gut as I did 14 months ago. This caused my curiosity to start going crazy. Could she be doing it again? So, against my conscience, I know invading privacy is not conducive to a good marriage. I checked her texts. Amazingly, I found just what I was looking for but certainly did not want to see. There was hundreds of texts going back and forth with that ex, all of which were very inappropriate for a married woman to have. I miss you, good morning babe, etc. I was shaking and did not know what to do. This discovery was around 3 a.m. So I wasn't sure if I should wake her or discuss in the morning. I could not sleep anyway, so I decided to wake her. As you can imagine, she was blindsided by this, frantically apologized but didn't really seem sorry. She said it was just fantasy. Blah blah. I was really ready to call it quits now, but again, my heart still yearned for her love. I still feel we have such a potential if she would just join my team. What I have to express is that when my wife is happy, she does seem like the perfect fit. She is beautiful, has a great career, comes from a great family and gets along great with mine. Why can't we just be happy together? Why do I seem controlling because I ask things of her that would make me happy? I would do just about anything she asks me if it made her happy. And I do. Fast forward 9 months. Things in our marriage have been up and down. Sometimes they are so great and I feel things are going to be okay. Then a fight over something very minute occurs and I am left wondering if we will make it. So lately I have been having that pain in my stomach again. Our bedroom activity has become very routine and sparse. Maybe once or twice a month, and she just seemed to be going through the motions. We have been going out with my male friends a lot lately. A lot of drinking and fun ensues. This may seem like things are going great, but one recently divorced friend of mine has my suspicions up again. He does not seem like my wife's type at first, kind of chubby and out of shape. I usually would not be worried about this guy taking any girl away from me. We have been friends for 15 years, and has not happened. But he has an attitude that comes off as tough even though he couldn't fight his way out of a wet paper bag. Sorry, I'm upset, and I have recently started to think my wife is very attracted to that kind of attitude. I am more of a gentle giant. I hadn't really thought much of this until about 3 months ago. We went out for a mutual friend's B-day, female, to a local bar. Nothing seemed out of the ordinary until I started to notice the extended period of time. They kept leaving to go smoke cigarettes outside. No smoking inside the bar. Side note, my wife used to smoke in high school, quit in college, but she will still have a cigarette or two when she has had some alcoholic drinks. She usually would never have more than 2 as she knows I hate cigarette smoke. But this is one of the other red flags regarding this friend's relationship with my wife. None of my other friends smoke, so they have bonded with it. Every time he is over our house or out with us for dinner, drinks, which has been at least once a week for the last 4 months since he divorced, they share nearly a whole pack of cigarettes. More info to come on this scenario and how it's raised my suspicions this time. We were at the bar for about 3 hours and they were gone for 30 minutes at a time for at least 4 minutes 5 times to smoke. I was even approached by another group of females who were not deterred by my wedding ring during one of their smoke breaks. I was scared my wife was going to come back and catch me talking to them. She isn't a crazy jealous type but can have some major issues with the scenario I was being put in. Luckily the group finally noticed I was married, because I had to tell them, and left. My wife was gone this whole time, so my worry was for naught. I even told her I was just about to be picked up by these chicks and she didn't really seem to care. Oh well. It was nice to know I am still desirable to other women even though I would never cheat. The next red flag came when we had some of my buddies over for dinner and drinks. Another friend came over late and missed dinner, so we ordered out to grab him something. The place was within walking distance, so he and I went to get his food. I left my suspicious friend alone with my wife. Like I said, I would never think my wife would be attracted to this guy, so I didn't think much of it at the time. But while I was out getting the food, the weekend out where I noticed the long smoke breaks popped in my head. So, I started wondering. Luckily the food was ready very quickly, so we were only gone about 15 minutes. Came back home where both my wife and my suspicious friend had been smoking on the back porch, but neither one of them were there. My suspicion went through the roof. I started to go upstairs but came back down to check the bathroom in the hall. When I came back down the stairs, the suspicious friend popped out of nowhere in the kitchen. I knocked on the bathroom door after waiting a little while, longer than it should have taken for my wife to do her biz, and asked what she was doing. She seemed guilty, but that could have just been my adrenaline. I asked her straight up if she had been in there with my friend. She said I was crazy. What am I talking about? I am just drunk. I let it go. I did agree with her, though. It was crazy for me to think she would like him. Of all my friends, he would probably be my least worry, but over the last couple of months have continued to notice they're growing closer along with her increased smoking. She even has started smoking when he is not around, and not only when she is drinking. I confronted her about it and she got extremely defensive with me. I let that go as well. I really don't want to seem controlling, but their growing relationship got my suspicions up so high I got the idea that maybe I should check the phone bill like I had before with my wife's ex-BF. She has no reason to speak on the phone with this friend of mine. Outside of my friendship with him, he was not her friend. So, upon my search, I found a 50-minute conversation with him from the Monday after the night out for my friend's B-day where the excessive smoke breaks occurred. I also found a couple other very late-night conversations of 15 minutes, 30 minutes. One 30-minute call was on a Saturday night when the guys were over and I had passed out earlier than the rest of the group. Had too many drinks, not enough sleep. Isn't it strange for her to talk on the phone to him at 12:30 a.m. for 30 minutes when I am asleep? Now this has me feeling exactly the same way as when I caught her talking to her ex-BF in the early stages of our marriage. But even worse is that if my friend is guilty, he has betrayed me too. He is not the greatest friend, but 15 years of friendship should count for something, right? So, over the last few days I have been watching her behavior. She is taking her cell everywhere she goes, turning it off at night for bed. She even has a work cell phone that is always locked, and I don't have the code, nor would I need to if she were honest. I think she is using the work phone mostly now because there are not any records of phone calls to him or anyone suspicious. There is no way for me to monitor that phone. So what better way to keep secrets from me? Do I have the right to ask her to unlock it and let me see the texts and phone calls? But what I was able to find is that she is texting someone and deleting those texts. My phone's online portal service has the number of texts sent but does not give any details on to whom or the content of the messages. So I kept count for one day. When I looked at her phone, only half of the 48 texts from that day were there. The ones to a girlfriend of hers were there. The last ones of those came at 3 p.m., but she got 28 or so more after that time in which there were no texts on her phone to account for those texts. Also, she is coming home more and more often smelling like cigarette smoke. I also know she is not buying them because she does not own any packs. I know she is getting them from someone, but who? Is it really my friend? Is it someone I don't know? What do? I want to be married, but I also want to be happy. I am a very organized planner, so I am already mentally getting ready for my exit. I feel like I need hard evidence because of outside family pressure. Though, as I mentioned, my wife and I seemed destined to be together from high school but never had the right opportunity until we were older. She is related to my best friend from childhood who is like a brother to me. Our wedding was awesome and everyone thought we were a match made in heaven. On paper we seem perfect. My parents love her like their own daughter and her parents love me like their own son. So, for me to just leave her because I have a hunch will be very difficult. Besides, if she is cheating, she deserves to be exposed and have everyone know what she did to me. She cares a lot about what other people think, especially her parents. If they find out what she has done, the shame will be extraordinary. I am not saying that her family would disown her, just be very disappointed. They are a very tight-knit family. But my wife has always dated the bad boy, loser types, and I think her parents always hoped she would settle down with someone more like me. So I think when I came into the picture, they were super relieved and excited. Also keep in mind that my wife viewed me as a bad boy at one point in our youth because of the guys I grew up with. Although that was true 10 years ago, they have all matured and are married with children. So not so tough anymore. Also, I mentioned my best friend is related to her. This aspect will make it very awkward at future family events. Blood may be thicker than water, but our friendship is as close to blood as it can get and he will feel very betrayed for me. We could have had a great life together if she just wanted to be a part of my team rather than doing whatever makes her happy. She came after me when we reunited, so I never imagined she would have lost interest in what she said she wanted so badly. A life with me. I am going to gather all of the evidence I can and hopefully I do find what I am looking for. I would much rather go ahead and get a divorce than to continue to worry when the next ERP happens. I was okay for 10 years as a bachelor, so I will be okay moving back into that role. I really feel strongly I need the evidence. She is too good of a liar, manipulator to just tell her I feel like she is cheating, although all of the recent activity with my so-called friend points to infidelity. To end my marriage on just a hunch will be difficult. So today I am anxiously waiting for her to come home from work, probably more excited than I've been for a long time for her arrival home. I will check my VAR and see what I find. Depending on that, I will either confront her if there is something on the VAR or continue to monitor her if there is not. Not sure how long I will continue the monitoring if I continue to come up empty, though. So here is my first day's update with the VAR. Unfortunately, I was not able to find anything with what I heard. Everything was as expected. It took her 20 minutes to get to work and to get home. Normal. And all I heard was music and her singing along with music and a phone call with her mom. I have planted it again today, so we will see what we find. I do have one question for those who have used the VAR. Is there a good brand that isn't that expensive? I need to buy a couple more, but the current one I have had terrible battery life. I need something that could last a week on VAR mode as I am about to leave out of town for business. This seems to be a perfect time for her to let her guard down and make a mistake. So, on my second day of VAR, I think I found what I have been afraid of. I set the VAR up in her car for her rides to and from work because that is the only times we are not together. The first day was nothing, but the second day I heard an 18-minute phone conversation on her way home from work with someone she was very open with. She showed she cared by actually fighting and cussing at the other person for some reason. I could not hear the other side of the convo. But the words and tone proved it was more than just a friend. Nothing incriminating was said, but it was another secret conversation. She had no phone calls on her personal cell. I have access to the records and checked, so, as I suspected, she is using her work cell that is locked. One thing this discovery may have done is ruled out my suspicious friend, though. The things she talked about to the other person were not things that fit for my suspicious friend. It could still be there is something there, but I am pursuing my other hunch first. I think this convoy was with the same XBF as before with all the calls and texts. I should have come to this site when those things happened because I prob would already be divorced and not dealing with this now. But 3 strikes and she is definitely out this time. But what to do now? Since this could quite possibly be my D-Day, I need some advice on how to handle this. I am pretty sure I am ready for a divorce and I do not want to continue my life with this woman at all. The last 2 times, I let it go with her manipulating me that it was nothing and she would stop contacting the ex. Foolishly, I believed her. So, I don't want to mess this D-Day up. I am shaking with anger at the moment and I am likely to make a bad decision. But as I have mentioned, I will be going out of town soon and wanted to see what my VAR found while I am completely out of the picture. I know I will probably hear something I really do not want to, but I really want to have as much proof as possible so she cannot talk her way out of it. I also requested the text records from Sprint. Online you can only see the number of texts, but no dates, phone #S, or content. I think I can use this to cross-reference all the deleted texts I have been keeping track of. At the very least I can see who she is texting and when. Finally, I have recently found out I have a mutual friend of the ex. He has agreed to meet with me and tell me some info that would help my case further. He mentioned he is tired of this woman taking advantage of 2 of his friends. Due to the logistics of my marriage, I will probably have to move in with my parents for a little while. That sucks. I never thought that would happen at 35 years old. It is definitely strike 3, but I don't think I have enough to pull the trigger just yet. She is oblivious that I could ever find out and is probably so happy she now has a work phone to use. I think after I get the text message report from Sprint, I will have more than enough info with or without further VAR. To be honest, the VAR is quite tiring and could get me caught. I will continue my recording this week but may not VAR her car while I am gone, only the house. Less likely to be discovered. The possibility could be she is cheating on me with the ex and with my friend, but as I mentioned, leaving them alone for that long would be difficult. He rarely comes over in the daytime. It's always after we have all been out on the town, dinner or drinks, and we are usually not alone with the 3 of us. We are usually in a group or 5 to 7. The one time I left her alone, I was actually with a group of 4. Myself and my other buddy went to get him something to eat and it was around 10 p.m. No disrespect, I really appreciate your advice, but I don't think I need to attempt to create this scenario with my wife and suspicious friend. It doesn't really matter at this point. I have 2 more very good pieces of evidence that are about to be uncovered. Text report from Sprint and meeting with mutual friend to find out more info. Besides, if my suspicious friend still wants her after me, that's fine. He can deal with the XBF. That I don't think my STBX will ever let go, although I have never been cheated on prior to this relationship, that I know of. The prior 2 instances I have had with my wife and her ex have made me very untrusting of her and very suspicious. 2 traits I did not have prior to my marriage. I really would have liked to spend the rest of my life with this woman. But I don't think I can ever trust her again. It's just too much work, and to really be honest, she sucks over all as a wife. I always imagined my marriage to be a team as my parents seem to have. But with her I have been the ball boy and she is the all-star. I am a star myself. And I just need to find someone who wants to be a team player and not the selfish person I married. I am not 100% sure what I want to do at the moment. The reality of ending my marriage is still hard to swallow. I modeled my own marriage after my parents. They have been together over 35 years and work as a great team. I followed my dad's advice that I should only marry someone if she is at least as good as my mom. I thought after waiting 30 years, I had found that person. She was beautiful, smart, fun, and we grew up together. All those things seemed to equal a good wife. I have found out the hard way they just don't make many like my mom anymore. I know many on here may see that as a weakness, but all I have ever known is that my parents seemed to work it out through thick and thin. I feel they raised me to be a good person, so that is what I try to be. But nice equals weak to my wife. And now she will see just how weak I am. As I am walking out the door, right now, I just want everyone to know that she is a lying piece of crap. I have had 3 really close friends end their marriages over the last year because their wives cheated on them, and she was always right there saying how horrible all these women were, when she was doing exactly the same thing. I want the guilt to come crashing down on her. But this is my anger talking right now. This may not even matter to her. I have a couple weeks until the sprint report gets here. I am going to think on my strategy until then. I listened to the VAR again and was able to slow it down with the software it came with. This allowed me to hear what was said a little better. There was still nothing about them ever meeting or any kind of PA, but she is really upset that he is not responding to her attempts to contact him. She even yells at him when I have ever not responded to you. I think when I listened to the VAR the first time, I was so floored I couldn't tell just how much she cared about him. After the slowed-down version, I am sure of her feelings and I just want out. As someone else has already said, the sprint text records would just be icing on the cake. That is definitely what they will be now. I cannot wait a month for those to get here. So, to make this all a reality, I feel I need to tell someone close to me. I have one really close friend I believe I can trust. He is part of my final exit strategy as well. My plan was to tell him everything I have discovered and let him know I am leaving her. But I cannot leave just yet. The next step is to wait until I get back in town. It will be a Friday. That next day, Saturday, my wife will be having a party to sell some crap Tupperware or something. This gives me a perfect chance to meet up with my two other closest friends, and I will tell them what I found as well. The more people I tell, the less chance she will have to change the story and will reveal just how real her fantasy world really is. Then on Sunday, I plan on confronting my wife. I know exactly how it will go since I have done this 2 times now. But this time I am educated thanks to this site. I will not allow the gaslighting, blame shifting, rug sweeping, and hysterical bonding that has happened those other 2 times, both leading to a false R. So, I will already have my bags packed and will leave immediately after I drop the news of what I have heard on the VAR. I told her after the second time that if she ever contacted him again, I would be gone. So, this is it. I am leaving for good. I really want to play the VAR for her with me standing right by her. Why is this a bad idea? She thinks she has me fooled and I am tired of being fooled. I don't care if she knows. This is the last straw in the end as far as I am concerned. I am 99% sure who the other man is. It is the man she left for me in the first place. The one she lied to me saying they weren't serious and she never saw it going anywhere. It is the same guy she talked with for over 15 hours over a 3-month span only 6 months after our wedding. I have all of those phone records printed out and planned on presenting them again while playing the VAR. She also had hundreds of inappropriate texts to him I found a little over a year after the first discovery. I was stupid and unprepared for those and did not think to forward them to my phone, so I have no record of them now, but she knows very well that I have seen their content and she admitted they were inappropriate when I confronted her. We never discussed them and it was swept under the rug just like every other difficult topic that comes our way. I am sure the text records will validate that it's the same guy also, but I don't want to wait for them. Also, I will meet with a mutual friend of the other man and me. He has already said he knows some details that I should be aware of. That is all he said on the messenger. But I will find out the details soon, so now I don't want any doubt. She has had this guy on the side for 3 years and I am sick of it. I want her to have to sit and listen to her other personality. The one who has no boundaries. No respect for anything. She needs to be forced to take responsibility for her actions for the first time in her life. As for the mutual friend of the other man and me, he is tired of my wife playing both of us. I think he has tried to get the other man to stop contacting her, but he can't help himself. I don't think the VAR conversation said he was cutting off communication at all, just that he didn't respond fast enough as she would have liked him to. He did not dump her. Also, I know what you mean about me using the VAR and looking crazy to outsiders, but I just laid the 2 items of proof I have. Old phone records and VAR to my best friend, as well as explaining the time I caught her with all the texts 1 year ago. But I explained to him first that what I am about to tell him may make me look crazy. But please understand that my wife has driven me to this. He understood and was totally shocked at the phone records I showed him from 2 years ago, as well as letting him listen to the VAR. He could not believe what he heard. He and my wife are actually pretty good friends, and all he could say was, "Wow." I have decided to not let her hear the VAR, but my 3 closest friends and maybe even my parents will hear it if they can't take my word for it and need to hear for themselves. Either way, I am letting everyone know about all 3 times over the last 3 years. The entire length of our marriage. I don't know why I need all this info, maybe some closure, who knows, but I started the divorce process with my lawyer. I can't say much more about this as of now, but I have access to free shipping from work. When she's out this weekend, I'm going to pack her stuff up and send it back to her mom's place up north. My comment: you guys enjoyed this ending. Although it was a brief one, but OP got the job done. Sub and